Scat Bro will not be denied. Scat Bro will always find his way into the end zone. Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports, because say what you will about Bill Belichick or Nick Saban or Lance Kiffin, at least none of those dudes will try to convince you that the immigrants are coming for your beloved household pets for dinner. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
Good.
Lori's good. Tonight is Thursday, September the 12th, 2024. Here on a Thursday night for our weekend preview of the sports action Cast Iron Balls. Abe, you're not actually here. This is all a not very clever ruse. Abe is out of town.
I was so worried you were going to make me pretend that Abe is here and like you were just going to edit bits of him in.
There will be bits of him in.
That's fine, but I didn't know that was I didn't know.
As I've long said, I could probably get away.
Yeah.
With just having Abe throw in a bunch of rights, and I don't know about that, Bob's, as he says from time to time.
Yeah.
And we'd be just fine, but we won't pretend beyond the opening 30 seconds.
Okay, good.
Abe is in Washington, D.C. with pals, which is close, but not close enough.
And we're not the pals that he's with.
We're not the pals. And I've got too much shit going on to just drive up there and just walk in on them while they're trying to do their friend stuff.
You don't want to hang out with them.
I mean, that would be fun.
For who?
For me, it would be fun.
Would it? Okay.
Yeah, why not? Maybe record a podcast. That's what we do.
The Biffler?
Yeah, record some Biffler. Anyway, there's college football on. We have Arizona State against Texas State. I don't know if Abe picked this game. I can look at his picks.
No, I did.
Lori picked this game?
I picked that Texas State would win.
Texas State currently up 21-14.
They're only not favored by 1.5 points.
With 20 seconds to go in the half.
What do I mean when I say they're only not favored by 1.5? They're only underdogs by 1.5? Is that the...
Texas State is catching 1.5 points.
No. But fill in the blank. They're only blank by 1.5 points.
Yeah, they are the 1.5 point underdog.
Okay, well, whatever. I don't like it.
And they're leading by a touchdown, but Arizona State is on the doorstep here as we
10 seconds to go in the half.
Start recording the show. It's going to be a little bit weird just sitting here having a conversation with my wife
from
about
across the room.
Sports from across the room.
We can't see each other's mouths.
We'll see how it goes.
I feel like we should have just got on Zoom anyway.
Yeah, just to be more comfortable.
Can't see you.
Throw a picture of Abe up on the computer. All right, we should open up the WGAS Sportsbag. It's time for Who Gives a Shit News, Sportsbag edition. Let's see here. I got a bunch of tabs pulled up about various
of course you do.
Sports newses.
Too many tabs. The color guard's about to get on the field. It's very exciting.
Deshaun Watson is facing a new sexual assault allegation about...
Wait, a new one?
A whole new one about an incident also from 2020.
Well, where has she been?
Not clear, but her lawyers insist that the Watson camp has known about this for at least the last 9 or 10 months or something.
So he had this one last thing that he hadn't told everyone?
That's what it seems to be.
That
and
sucks.
Some people are saying that this might be the thing if he knew about this and it was not disclosed at the time that he signed this contract with the Browns, that maybe this could be their out and that they should take it if it is available to them. I'm
up to the Deshaun Watson era of the SEC documentary I'm watching, but obviously he isn't in the SEC, so it's, he's kind of barely mentioned. But I'm at the point where Clemson's winning titles. Yeah, well, this is not a massage-related incident as a lot of his other situations were. It was a sexual assault that allegedly took place in the course of a date at some woman's apartment. The woman who is suing him in civil court. Not clear why there's not a criminal action, but
Yeah, seems bad. And I agree with the piece in The Athletic that I read this afternoon saying that if the Browns have an option to unload Deshaun Watson, they should probably go ahead and take it at this point. I'm sorry Abe's not here to defend Deshaun Watson, as he always does, given the opportunity to defend Watson. He always will.
Yeah. That's what Abe does.
Tyreek Hill says he could have handled his traffic stop better, but he still wants the officer fired. Did you watch the...
I've not. I want to watch it now. I want to watch it in 13 football seconds because this is almost... Oh, get that guy. Fuck him. Fuck that guy. Get that guy.
So, that's a touchdown for Arizona State. They will score going into the half.
Okay, so now let's watch the video. No, I saw that...
Game should be tied.
David Ubben posted it, but I think I bookmarked it, but I never watched it because it's probably not funny. So
it's not great.
Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Why don't you have your seatbelt on? Like what? Why you have it on? What you gotta do? Down. Hey, keep your window down. Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Give me your ass, bro. Get out of the car. Give me your ass. We'll break that freaking window. Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. 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 What part of blood don't you understand? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting out, bro. God damn, twin. When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand?
I'm getting out.
You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little fucking confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late.
Chill,
Too late.
All right, bro. Take me to jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro.
We are. We will.
Good, bro.
It is good.
Hey, Drew. Hey.
Don't worry about it. I hung up the phone. You stop crying.
Bro. Y'all.
Don't move.
Good. Bro, you beating on my window like you crazy.
The first cop was just sort of being a cop. The second cop who shows up and gets super aggressive is the one that seems to escalate the situation unnecessarily.
Yeah. Also, like, the cops should be held to a higher standard of behavior than the person, just the whatever, the whoever.
Sure.
Like, they should be the bigger person.
Yeah, they should not be as quick to anger, obviously, in that moment. But they are on edge and, for various good reasons worried about bad things happening when someone won't lower their window and it is super heavily tinted in the way that his is. What I was most amused by is that the moment that I think the full video is like 4 minutes long, the first video that was released to the public. And you go and you watch the full video and you look in the comments and it's there's absolute clarity from both sides that one of them, so there are the cop defenders who are all insisting if he had just complied, nothing bad would have happened. And then there are the Tyreek defenders who are saying that all cops are bastards and that this sort of thing should never happen.
Yeah.
And it's just people watching the same movie and having completely different reactions to it. And there's no nuance to be had on either side. It's a sort of frustrating thing. Although I will say, Hill at least has acknowledged that he should have handled himself better in the initial moments of the traffic stop and wishes that he had behaved a little bit differently.
What David Ubben said in his tweet that I bookmarked and then didn't watch the video of was like, would these cops like their kids treated that way? Like that's his takeaway is always like
the cops would say my kids would comply immediately.
Yeah. But what if they didn't? And then like is the reaction to that to completely fly off the handle? Like, no. Be cooler.
Yeah. Let's see here. The NFL averaged 21 million viewers per game for opening week. It's highest on record.
Did we watch any of them?
We did not watch hardly any NFL, but something like 123 million people saw at least part of one game.
Sure.
The highest total for an opening week since 2019.
Cool. Good for the NFL. I know they need it.
Good for them.
Good for them.
Also
that little
in NFL
fledgling
news,
organization.
Also in NFL news, the Super Bowl halftime artist has been
Yes.
announced. Did you hear this?
I heard it was. Hold on. Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. Cool.
Returning to the Super Bowl stage, this time as a headliner. He was, of course, part of the
Snoop and Dre and Eminem.
the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show that featured all of the available alive hip hop artists of the time. I believe.
It was great.
I'm not sure that Kendrick Lamar has enough of a back catalog to truly headline
You
a
don't
Super Bowl
know
halftime
Kendrick
show.
Lamar's back catalog.
I do.
Do you? Have you been listening to Kendrick Lamar this whole time?
I have listened to 2 of his records all the way through multiple times. I think he's
Okay.
fine. He's not my favorite
Yeah.
rapist.
Rapist.
Rapist, yes, it's the proper term. Damn and To Pimp a Butterfly, obviously very popular.
Okay, I don't know
especially
any, but
among the whites.
I just know that, I mean, I'm not home much, but I don't think you listen to a lot of Kendrick Lamar.
No, I don't. I'm not a big ongoing fan of
No.
Kendrick Lamar, but he's such a important part of the culture.
Yeah, to other people.
I feel I need to at least
Yeah,
dip
no,
my
I'm just
toe
saying
in.
because he's such an important part of popular culture, maybe he does have.
I don't listen to nor care for Usher, and yet when he was announced as the Super Bowl halftime artist, I did not doubt that he could put together a 15-minute set that
How many
would be thrilling.
Billboard Hot 100 songs does Kendrick Lamar have?
I have no idea.
Well, I think it's about time you find out. I don't know how you find that out.
I mean, I just Googled how many Billboard Hot
Oh,
100 hits
you
for
Google it.
Kendrick Lamar. Lamar landed his 4th Hot 100 number 1 and ups his career count to 15 top 10s. This was in
Okay.
May of 2024 when Not Like Us debuted at number 1 on the
So that sounds
Hot
like
100.
plenty.
It is amusing to me that he's parlayed this big beef with Drake into a spot as the Super Bowl halftime artist. It's quite impressive.
That fuck 'em up. I'ma do my stuff.
But yeah, good for Kendrick. I'm not sure what it will look like. He's going to have to find some
That'd be
buddies
fun.
to get him through it, I think.
Well, they always have buddies. That's not true. They don't always have buddies. What's her name didn't have a buddy, and this other one didn't have a buddy. The Rihanna didn't have a buddy, and The Weeknd didn't have a buddy.
Well, the weekend sucked, though.
Yeah, and so did Rihanna. But like, whatever. They don't always have buddies.
La Liga,
Soccer?
which is soccer.
Oh, I don't
they've
wanna talk about
introduced
soccer.
a referee gesture for racist incidents.
Ooh.
So when the crowd
What is it?
is being racist, the referee will raise his arms and cross them at the wrist in front of his head there. So it sort of
That
makes
means you're drowning.
drowning
in racism.
in racism, probably in Spain is where it happens most. But you hold your arms in the cross X fashion above your head, and that's the first warning for the fans.
Wow.
Because racism in Spanish football has come under the spotlight with a number of high-profile incidents of fans insulting players, many involving Real Madrid.
Real.
Good enough. Real Madrid forward Vinicius
Just say
Jr.,
Real Madrid.
who has led calls for more action on the issue. Earlier this year, 3 fans received prison sentences
Whoa.
for racially abusing the Brazil international at Valencia's Mestalla Stadium in May 2023 in the first guilty verdict of its kind in Spain. That's not great, right? We shouldn't be sending people to jail for being racists.
Well, we are
with
not.
their mouths.
It's Spain. It's different.
Yeah. In May, FIFA announced the introduction of a global standard gesture for referees to signal the implementation of the 3-step procedure to halt, suspend, and ultimately abandon matches in the event of a racist incident. So if a ref sees or is made aware of a racist incident, the gesture will be used. The game will be paused, and an announcement will be made over the stadium PA system.
Do they actually pause the timer?
Oh, no, this is soccer. The clock never stops.
Nothing ever changes.
Gets added to the stoppage time, I'm sure. Warning that a match suspension
Stoppage for racism.
will follow if the behavior is repeated. The second step sees the official suspend the game temporarily, in which case the clock would stop.
Okay.
With the teams being sent to the dressing rooms, while step 3 involves the game being suspended definitively after consultation with security and club officials. If there's just too much racism, they will not go on and finish the game.
All right.
They should consider instead just painting "End Racism" behind the soccer goals.
They don't know because it's a soccer thing. There's nothing behind the goal. It's not.
You can just paint it on the ground.
No, there's nothing there. It doesn't work. That's why football's better, because you can paint "End Racism" in the end zones.
Of course, I've now Googled. Maybe the problem is that, well, if the soccer field is wider than the NFL field.
But they're playing on it.
Sure, but in Spanish it would be acabar con el racismo.
Acabar?
I don't know.
Acabar?
Let's find out.
Acabar con el racismo.
Acabar.
Acabar. I had it right there.
Yeah,
You snooty person. Acabar
You're
con
saying
el
it
racismo.
like it's Arabic.
Acabar con el racismo.
Racismo.
Stop.
End racismo.
and you.
End racismo.
Oh, are we going to talk about the Pac-12?
Yes, in a moment. As we all know, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris on Monday night
This
or
isn't
Tuesday
the right
night.
podcast to be talking about.
After the debate ended, there was some worry about Taylor, apparently, because she's been seen, obviously, canoodling with excuse me. That would be something. Canoodling with Travis Kelce in public. Not his brother, Jason. That would be weird. But at the U.S. Open, they were all getting cuddly in a VIP box or something.
Why is that concern?
Well, because they were with Patrick Mahomes,
known Trumpers,
and Brittany Mahomes. Brittany being, yes, a known Trumper type,
which isn't fair. She just liked an Instagram post.
I think she's pretty out in public about liking Trump at this point, and Trump is very much out in public about liking.
He certainly is pushing the.
Patrick Mahomes encourages voter registration, but no endorsement after Trump's praise of Brittany Mahomes.
I bet Patrick Mahomes won't vote. That's what I bet. I bet $0 that Patrick Mahomes won't vote.
Patrick Mahomes says, "I think I've always said I don't want my place and my platform to be used to endorse a candidate or do whatever either way. I think my place is to inform people to get registered to vote, is to inform people to do their own research, and then make their best decision for them and their family." And so I think every time I'm on this stage and I get asked these questions, I'm going to refer back to that because I think that's what makes America so great.
That is a nice sentiment.
I'm not sure what it is, the sentiment is that he thinks makes America so great.
No, it's that I'm just an athlete. I don't know anything, but we live in a country where we have all this, opportunity to understand issues and access to information. So register to vote, find out information, and go vote. I think that's nice.
Trump said on Fox and Friends on Wednesday, "I actually like Mrs. Mahomes much better, if you want to know the truth. She's a big Trump fan. I was not a Taylor Swift fan. I like Britney. I think Britney's great. She's got a lot of news last week. She's a big MAGA fan. That's the one I like better than Taylor Swift."
Yeah, I'm sure he said that.
So in the power rankings, it's Britney Mahomes and then Taylor Swift.
In Trump's power rankings?
Power rankings.
Well, good. Good for both of them.
Yeah. I'm fine with
Look
what
at
Patrick
this
Mahomes
giant
says
person
there.
on the far right here. This is ridiculous. He was very large.
There's not a lot of big, squishy, obese dudes left on television.
I'm sorry.
Let's see here.
Talk about Pac-12.
Auburn's Peyton Thorne says bettors asking for money on Venmo after losses. Yep, that sounds about right.
That's rude of them.
It is rude. And finally, as Lori wants to discuss, the Pac-2 is going to become the Pac-6 next season. And with Ames, they have a 2-year grace period before, if they have to achieve, I believe, 8 is the minimum number in order to stay a Power 5 conference. Or a power, I don't know what the thing is.
I don't know either.
What number it would be at that point. But
so now we have core 4. Would they be group of 5? But not, because then it would be group of 6.
No, they would stay a top-level conference if they get to the minimum number of 8 before the start of next season, but the season after that.
Again.
Right. Which is good, but all they've done is poached 4 Mountain West teams.
It's they currently have Washington State, Oregon State, and then they're going to add Boise State and Fresno State and Colorado State, and I think Idaho State, or so it's all state.
Pac-12 adding Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno
San
State,
Diego,
Colorado State, all from the Mountain West Conference. Starting with, of course, this year they have only Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah.
As the remains of the Pac-12. They will add those 4 teams and then look to add at least 2 more after
Hawaii.
that.
They should pick Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii makes some sense. And, I mean, in my opinion, it would be really cool if the Pac-12 could, get teams like maybe USC and Oregon and Cal and Stanford and UCLA.
Cool. That'd be cool.
That would make sense.
I think not. I think it should be only schools that end in state. So, like, is there a California State?
Cal State Fullerton? Is there a football team?
I don't know, whatever football, California State, New Mexico State, obviously.
There is a Cal State Fullerton.
Fuck yes, there is.
The Titans football team. Oh, no, it was from 1970 through 1992.
Well, bring it back.
They haven't been around for quite some time.
Anyway, whatever state there is, I think that should be the rule.
They were in the Big West Conference, and their bowl record was 0-1.
Ball State? Where is Ball State?
I think Ball State is like Indiana or something.
No, that won't work.
Yeah, Muncie, Indiana.
No, that won't work.
Why do I know that Ball State is from Indiana?
There's got to be Montana State.
Yeah.
New Mexico State would work, I think, even though it's not in the Pacific.
Anyway, do we care that the Pac-12 exists or continues to exist?
Okay.
Is it important?
No, okay, that's not, no, I don't care. I don't know if it's important, but it still makes me happy.
The Bills are up 24-7 on the Dolphins heading into the half.
Were they supposed to be? They
don't
were
know,
only
but I
favored
think...
by 1.5. No. Your little spreadsheet here says Bills plus 1.5.
Yeah, and I think that listener Steve had the Bills straight up.
Sure did. I see it right there.
Looking good for Steve right now. Steve is feeling good. Steve has already spent that money.
There's no money.
There's no money here, but I assume that Steve is an honorable man who puts, at minimum, $50 bets on all of his picks.
Oh.
He puts his money where his mouth is, as they say. The Pac-12 and the departing schools will likely be on the hook for about $110 million in exit fees and penalties to the Mountain West. It's not even clear to me that the Mountain West should be upset about this. Because,
they get a bunch of money.
They're going to get a big, giant pile of money.
Do they get to continue existing without
I don't
them?
know the rules in the G5. I'm sure that they can add some schools and figure stuff out. The concern is probably that these will be the first 4 that leave from the Mountain West.
Yeah.
And this won't be the end of things.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
I don't know, but I'm happy. It felt like good news.
Yeah, I guess. I have no particular brand loyalty to any of these stupid conferences. It took until like the last couple of years for me to even begin to understand the difference between the Big Ten and the Big 12. And now it's completely muddled.
I still
because
don't.
Now it's way worse. And
Yeah.
there are way too many teams moving all over the place. All of this is silly. None of it matters.
Well, that's why it's good.
That's fine. All right. That's the WGAS News Sportsbag. I think we can wrap that up. Let's go into the sports adjacent question of the week. This comes from our lives and experiences with youth sport. At baseball practice yesterday with the bigger kids, with Calvin and the other major league players, the like 10 to 12-year-old kids. Calvin got incredibly upset when, as part of a sort of round-robin scrimmage that I do. So what we do, if you're interested, this is a terrific way to get kids a bunch of at-bats and practice a bunch of defense quickly in practice. So what we do is we divide the kids up into teams of 3 or 4, depending on how many kids we've got there. We're going to have 3 teams. And this was a practice we had 9 players there, so we divided 9 players into 3 teams of 3. And then we have 6 in the field. And then Katie was there, so she filled the last spot in the outfield, had Katie playing right field. The 4 infield spots, and then 2 outfielders. And then the 3 on Team A, they go up to bat. And they just bat as many times as they can until they make 3 outs. And then we keep track of the runs. And it gives an opportunity. And then the pitching is happening by a coach from behind a screen about halfway between the pitcher's mound and home plate. So the idea is that they're seeing pitches.
Lots of hitting, but also we're close to them, and so we can sort of snap them in.
If you snap them in there pretty quick, it's like seeing game speed pitches because you're so close. They still have to, like, the reaction time is basically the same because you're so close to them.
And they're getting defense practice.
Right, and the other 6 kids are getting defense practice at the same time because there's a lot of balls in play. And then we don't have a catcher, and so in order to score, I put a line about, let's see, the bases are 60 feet apart, so maybe 40 feet down the line, 20 feet before home plate, I draw a line in the dirt, and all they have to do is cross that line to score. But the trick is that if the ball is in the pitcher's hand behind the screen, then we consider that an out. So they don't have to make it all the way to home plate, but they make an out if the ball is in the pitcher's hand or glove before they cross that line.
Like base.
Right, sort of like base. But it's good. It's a very good little
Sounds
thing
fun.
that I came up with. Yeah. And it keeps,
you should put it on YouTube.
It keeps everyone engaged, and because a problem with baseball practice is that if you're doing like game type situations, kids can get bored and disengaged very easily.
It's a lot of standing around.
It's a lot of standing around in baseball, and so if you put them in a bunch of game situations where they're just facing kid pitching, and like your kids aren't pitching very well that day, now half your team is just standing around waiting for your kid to throw strikes, and then on top of that, the occasional strike doesn't guarantee the occasional hit. So we try to do a whole ton of drills in the first half or more of practice and just constantly hit balls at them, basically. And then in the second half of practice, or the last 30 minutes of practice, whatever it is, I do this thing, this round robin scrimmage thing. And it's better than a regular scrimmage, in my opinion, because if you only have 9 or 10 kids and you do 5 on one team and 5 on the other, you never have enough kids in the field to...
And there's still a lot of standing around.
Right, and there's still some standing around. This keeps everybody engaged, and it keeps everything moving, and it's good. This is a very good system that I've come up with. It works. And so we're doing that, and a little context here is that for whatever reason, through luck or happenstance or what have you, Calvin's never been on a team that ended up winning this thing that I've come up with.
Since when?
The first time that we did it was over the summer with the All-Star team.
Okay, so it's not that long.
I invented it during the All-Star
fumble? There wasn't a
season.
fumble.
But we did it a bunch in that, especially in that
every day.
In that second set of practices that we had in between the district tournament and the state tournament. We were doing it constantly, and he just never ended up on a team that won. So he was upset about that fact. And now we've started doing it.
But also, it doesn't matter. Not that it ever matters to win, but it's like practice.
We've started doing it in fall ball, and now the same thing has happened where we've done it like, I think this was the 3rd or 4th time that we've done it. And again, he's not been on a team that wins, which is weird because...
Also, how do you win?
Because you win by scoring the most runs, just like in regular baseball.
Counting runs.
We just keep track as the game goes by.
Sure.
But anyway, he's not won the thing, and he was getting more and more upset about the fact that he hasn't won the thing. And this all comes to a head in our most recent practice on Wednesday evening. And his team is like, the team A ends up with 3 runs, team B ends up with 5 runs, and he's on team C, and they only have 2 runs going into their last at-bat. And they score a couple, and it's all good, and then they tie it, and so now it's 3 to 5 to 5, and they just need one more run to win, and he makes the last out, and so it ends tied, and he loses his fucking shit. He's like, sobbing is probably too far, but he has something of a breakdown and is crying over the fact that he hasn't won this stupid practice scrimmage thing, and he's acting in a way that is completely unacceptable. And I said that to him. In fact, I grabbed him by the shirt and said, "This is completely unacceptable. You need to leave the field." And he walked away and went and sat in the dugout by himself while I finished up one more quick little lesson in practice. And then, after a few minutes, he came back out and he did the last little drill that I was doing before calling it a night. But the question here, the sports adjacent question of the week, is coaching my own kid in sports bad for him, even if it's good for his teammates because I'm very good at this.
No big deal. You did. They take them to the first state championship in who knows how long.
Yeah, but that's not
many
even what
years.
the success on the field is.
Let the record show, though. Like you're really good.
Let the
coaching.
record show that I have not won this little league yet either. So yes, we took an all-star team to states.
You took an all-star team that wasn't even very good.
But we have not.
Sorry.
My team has not.
Yeah.
Achieved our little league championship yet, and maybe we've got a shot in both majors and minors in the spring, certainly. But who knows? The point being, I'm good at this, and my influence on other kids is very, very good, especially with some of them. I struggle with some kids who I think every single coach is going to struggle with, and I do a better job with, and I'm talking about the medicated kids, the neurodivergent kids, the ones who say things that they shouldn't and behave in ways that they shouldn't. I'm better for them than the other coaches in the league by miles. I don't think that I'm not fucking making a difference ultimately, probably. But who knows? But like with certain kids and with certain teams, I think you probably
are. I think when they become adults, they'll look back and remember you fondly, or like whereas they could look back at other coaches and be like, my baseball coach was a dick. You know?
And I remember my baseball, especially Coach Zakatansky, being really spectacular. And not in terms of like making me a better baseball player, but just in terms of being a good person. And like it's funny thinking back, like what in the world were the resources that these people had to get better at this? Like I don't think Coach Zakatansky like ever tried to get better at being a baseball coach. He was just a dad who did it because he liked baseball and his kids played.
Was it Zakatansky or was it Zach?
That's the last name.
Oh, wow.
Is Zakatansky.
Zakatansky.
But like I've got YouTube, I've got the entirety of the internet to get better.
Had
like were they
community and people?
Were they going down to the library and like taking out books on coaching Little League baseball? Anyway, the point is there's a 0% chance that Calvin throws a fit in the way that he threw a fit
for anyone else.
If I'm not there. And not only not there, but if I'm not coaching.
Yeah.
Like my presence on the baseball field as the coach gives him permission to act in a way that he would never dream of acting in a situation where he was just another kid on a team. It wouldn't be something he had to
pull together. It would be nothing.
Right. And I told him the behavior is completely unacceptable. He recognizes that the behavior was completely unacceptable, and I don't expect it to happen again, at least not in the way that it happened.
Yeah.
But this is a kid who is every teacher's favorite, who is every coach that he's ever.
Well, he was. I don't know anymore.
But every team that he's ever been on. He's a very good boy. Right. He's a good boy. In public, he's very good and sweet and attentive and does the right thing most of the time. But because I'm there, allowing him the sort of comfortability, the permission structure to be himself the way that he might be at home where he is his worst self. Like it's not clear to me that I'm necessarily having the most positive influence on my own kid as his coach in terms of preparing him for the world in any way.
But this isn't the thing that's preparing him for the world. I think that if he were really great at baseball, this might be a conversation that needed to be had. But he's just fine. Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Right. He's not playing Division I college ball.
He's not playing D3 college baseball.
You never know.
I do know. You
got enough hate, rage, win in you.
He doesn't have that.
That comes. You never know.
When does that come? He doesn't have that. He only has that.
It comes along with everything else when you're fucking 12 or 13 years old.
When he's losing on your team, Yeah. If he wouldn't have that. He'd be just another sweet kid, happy to be there, like, Gavin. Like, just, oh, hey, here we are in baseball fun. Like,
it's funny, though, because our kids are the exact same way in the way that I was also, and I don't know how you were at this age, but I think less so is my guess, but I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Feel free to correct me. The way that we are in the house, they are sort of free to be themselves and can be nightmares. Like every other kid can be a nightmare.
I was not a nightmare until I was a teenager.
Sure.
And even then I wasn't a nightmare.
Right, but what I mean is that in public, they are incredibly well-behaved. They are the teacher's pet. They are the coach's favorite. They are going to work hard and do their best and be quiet or be attentive or be leaders in the way that they are. Like their teachers all love them.
And they're assholes at home.
Right, they are the ideal public-facing kid. Right, I've had multiple other parents say, your kid is so wonderful and so well-behaved, like all of that, right? They're the perfect child out in the world and for other coaches and for teachers.
And then we have to tell those other parents, like, no, they're not like this.
Right, you don't understand. They're not perfect little angels at home. They're
doing this for you.
At some level, whether it's the sort of shame that Katie possesses deep in her soul, like something regulates that behavior in public that is not regulated when we're around or when they're just around us.
Well, and I think we are both still like that.
Yes, absolutely. There's a public face and there's a private face, and they both understand that in not ways that we've taught them necessarily, but in ways that we've one way or another handed down to them. And so, that's sort of the end of the question is at some point, I mean, obviously I can't coach his baseball team forever.
No, but he's not going to be better at baseball when you don't. And he's not going to be a better version of himself. He will be the public-facing Ooh, that's definitely targeting. Jesus Christ. He will be the public-facing version of himself playing baseball where now he kind of isn't. But he's not going to do better the rest of his life. He'll just be the same.
Yeah. I was still just so surprised at how dramatic he got about this.
Well,
this
he'd had a rough
scrimmage.
day, too.
Sure, he'd had a rough day. But also, and the thing that I said to him was like, we are talking about a team-on-team-on-team scrimmage.
No, it's ridiculous.
That is designed to put your teammates to the test. And like what a leader on this team does is when he hits the hell out of the ball and his teammates make a play on him, he says, great play. He doesn't say, throw his helmet and start screaming about shit.
Yeah. No, he can't act like that. He can't act like, because the other side of this is, I think winning is dumb and not the goal. And the goal is to have fun. And if what he's doing is caring about winning, then he's doing it wrong. Especially at a fucking practice. Like,
right, a practice specifically designed to sort of like steel sharpening steel.
Ooh, call reversed.
To make his teammates better.
Like
he doesn't lead with the crown.
No, I guess it's not the crown.
It's helmet to helmet, but it's not the crown.
Yeah,
and as long as it's not the crown,
we need that diagram
it.
from whatever game we were watching.
It's not helpful, actually. The diagram was not helpful.
It showed what the crown was.
He certainly did lead with his head, though.
Yeah.
He could have not done that.
Yeah.
But they're so accustomed to using that helmet, because if you can put that helmet on the ball is probably popping loose.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the sports adjacent question of the week. Am I ruining my kid by being his coach? And it's possible.
Nah. No, you're not. No.
It might be.
No, because he would just have one more space in which he is not at home instead of one less. That's all.
All right. It is now time for the best college game in every time slot portion of the show. It is not a great weekend.
It's going to be fine.
College sports.
Pull up a spreadsheet.
It's going to be fine, but it is nowhere near as good as last week.
We didn't think last week was going to be that good.
I had trouble filling out the best game in every time slot last week. There were good ones. There are way fewer good ones this week. So don't feel bad if you can't plop your ass down in front of the TV for 14 hours on Saturday, because you're not going to miss a whole ton. There are weekends this year that are just fucking spectacular. This is not one of them. All right. We're going to start actually with a bonus game on Friday night, completely disproving the thesis of everything that I just said, which is that Arizona at Kansas State might be worth checking out on Friday night. And there's a highly enjoyable game happening as we record right now.
Too late, losers.
21
you missed
to 21.
it if you didn't watch it.
If you're flipping around away from the blowout.
Did he catch that? No.
NFL game that's happening right now. But anyway, Friday night, we've got Arizona at Kansas State, which might be worth putting on if you can't decide on anything else to watch. It's supposed to be a close game, should be a fairly high-scoring affair, and I think Arizona's pretty good, and Kansas State might be fraudulent. So that one could be fun. But moving on to Saturday, the biggest game of the day, I think it's pretty clear, is Alabama at Wisconsin.
No, you're wrong.
I don't know.
How is that the biggest game of the day? In what manner?
Because it's at what do they call that place in Wisconsin? It's at
The soup, the bowl, the bread badger,
stop it.
milk tub.
Camp Randall is what they call it. You weren't even in the
No,
fucking
I had
neighborhood.
no idea. I just was guessing.
It's in Camp Randall in Wisconsin. That's where they do jump around at the start of the fourth quarter, I believe. Big, exciting.
Yeah, but Alabama's going to win by a
home
lot.
venue. Alabama might well win by a lot. Wisconsin is not great this year.
LSU at South Carolina is the biggest game of the noontime slot.
No, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be
ugly, but it's not going to be good. Like, who's going to win?
Yeah, so that's my second TV game. The nooner, Alabama at Wisconsin, is the big game of the day. I don't know that it's going to be a good game, but at least it's two big-time classic programs.
See what the weather's going to be like there right now.
That sort of thing should be fun. Second TV, we've got LSU at South Carolina, and this is why it's such a weird day.
Yeah.
Is the noon slate is probably the best slate.
Yeah, like last week.
LSU at South Carolina, and then BC at Mizzou happening at the same time.
Also Memphis at Florida State.
Yeah, but fuck that. BC at Mizzou could be interesting because we're going to find out if Mizzou is as good as they've looked through the first couple of weeks.
It might be raining. It might be raining in South Carolina. We don't know.
Yeah, I think that we're going to get hurricane rain.
It's just like potential thunderstorms. It doesn't know.
But yeah, either of those games would be worth checking out on your second TV there. LSU at South Carolina or BC at Mizzou. Moving to the 3:30 games, there's Texas A&M at Florida on your main TV. That one is probably worth putting on.
Yep.
I expect Texas A&M to run away with that one. I don't think Florida's any good. Oregon at Oregon State on the second TV could be fun just by virtue of the fact that we don't know. Oregon has struggled a lot the first 2 weeks, and Oregon State's going to be super mad at them just in general, but also because they left the Pac-12 and turned it into the Pac-2, now the Pac-6. State-on-state rivalry games are always worth checking out. And then App State at East Carolina might be
That's not till
semi-interesting.
later. West Virginia at Pitt is on.
App State at East Carolina is a 4 o'clock game.
4 o'clock. Okay.
But that's the 3:30 window.
Yeah. But West Virginia at Pitt will be better than that.
West Virginia at Pitt will also be worth checking out, but I don't know. All right, and then moving into the evening, 7:30, of course, the only game of interest to us is going to be Georgia at Kentucky. I expect that to be fairly thorough butt-stomping by the Dogs. It's not clear that Kentucky is any good at all, considering...
no more rain there that day.
Well, good. Maybe Carson Beck can throw for 400 yards and 6 scores
cool.
or something.
Fucking get that guy. Nice. Also, you have UVA here.
No one is going to watch UVA against Maryland.
But UVA is 2-0, and they hate Maryland most. A second to Tech, I guess. Virginia Tech.
Yeah. But
it would be a really big deal for UVA.
Yeah, I don't think they're beating Maryland, though. We have UCF at TCU. Could be a fun game on the second TV, but also Maryland
only has 2.5 points against Virginia.
I don't buy it.
Okay.
UCF at TCU on the second TV, or Colorado at Colorado State on the second TV. So this is the thing about this weekend. There's a bunch of second TV games that are like semi-interesting.
But you never know, because those the TV game, the big TV yesterday or last week with the Texas and Michigan, that
Alabama
got boring.
at Wisconsin, likely blowout. Texas A&M at Florida, likely blowout. Georgia at Kentucky, likely blowout. So there's no good top-tier games, but all of the second-tier games might be slightly more interesting.
We're doing good.
That's what I'm saying.
And we'll go to bed relatively early because nothing starts at fucking midnight.
At 10 o'clock, there's nothing. There are a few late games, but none of them are worth watching. Starting at 8 o'clock, you've got Maryland at Virginia, which I guess you could put on if Lori's insisting it's going to be a close
I'm
game.
not insisting anything.
Then you've got Rice at Houston, BYU, Wyoming, San Diego State, Cal, and New Mexico State, Fresno State. A bunch of garbage late-night games. So instead, I went and found if there was anything interesting debuting on any of the streaming channels for you to put on once you're tired of all of your day of college football.
The Mormon Moms show on
Civil
Hulu.
War is making its appearance on Max.
What's that?
That's the one that came out earlier this year about like Kirsten Dunst is a journalist, and there's a civil war in the United States.
The one I don't want to watch.
You don't want to watch that one?
It feels weird.
Sure.
There's that documentary about NIL on something.
Yeah. I was trying to get away from sports.
This is a sports podcast.
Yeah, but not everything in your life needs to be one thing. It can be other things.
No, but everything on a sports podcast can be sports related. I don't know. Maybe Civil War. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be fun enough. I think it's going to be a bummer.
Things can be bummers and still be worth engaging with.
Yeah, but what if I want to get drunk and have fun?
All right. Well, let's watch the NIL documentary then.
That's not that fun.
That sounds like a fucking hoot. All right. Let's go to the CIB Pick'em game. It's time for us to reveal our picks for the week. Very important, obviously. Everyone wants to know. We've got Abe. Well, we'll go through Abe's picks first. I've got Abe has taken Purdue plus 11.5
The spoiler
points
makers.
over Notre Dame. He got in when that game was an 11.5 point game. That line is down to 9.5 points now. So Abe is fortunate to have locked in when Purdue was getting 11.5 points.
Does it make a difference?
No, but it suggests because, for example, now if he placed the bet this evening, he would only get 9.5 points, which means.
Yeah, but for us with it's the same.
What do you mean it's the same? He is locked in at 11.5, so he gets the bonus of 2 points over if he had waited until today to make the bet.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that
so Purdue can win
conventional. So the game opened at I saw it open at 12.5. By the time I got it on the spreadsheet, it was 11.5. Abe locked in at 11.5, and then it has since moved to 9.5. So Abe is sort of getting a 2 point bonus going into this game.
He's just taking the points.
If you want to think about it that way, yes, he's taking the points. He is not calling for Purdue to win outright.
Got it.
He's got the Dogs minus 23.5 at Kentucky. He's got Florida at home winning outright. They're catching 3.5 points, but Abe is foregoing the points and just putting a money line on the Gators down there in the swamp.
Is that what that means, money line? It means we're just saying...
that's what money line means. It means you're just guessing which team is going to win.
Okay.
East Carolina over App State. He's also got that money line on East Carolina. He's calling for that team to win straight up against the visiting App State team. And then he's got the Packers as a home underdog as well, calling for the Packers to win outright. So
against his beloved Colts.
Against the Colts.
I see what he's doing there.
Buying the win once again against the Colts. But that's 10, 20, 30. He's got a possible ceiling of 40 points this week, which he could use a good week. He's down there at the bottom with just 20 points. So. All right, and then I've got listener Steve's picks. Listener Steve has got Oregon State plus 16.5. He's going Colorado State plus 7.5. I like that pick, although it's not one of my games. I might even be willing to say pick Colorado State outright.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I haven't. I'm saying there might be a little money on that game later this weekend, though. Maryland minus 2.5 here in Charlottesville. He's got the Bills tonight, which seems to have been the correct decision. I'll go check that score right now. The Bills are up by 2 scores.
What's the situation timing-wise?
With 12 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Okay.
So
stranger things have happened.
Looking strong at the moment, anyway. And then what else has Steve got?
The Colts minus
Steve's
3.
Got the Colts
same as Abe.
minus 3. No,
opposite.
Opposite Abe. He's got the Colts laying 3 points and covering that number. All right, and then I'll do mine. I've got LSU minus 7.5 at South Carolina. I don't see how Brian Kelly doesn't figure out how to beat fucking Scar at home. That should be fine. They're a much better team than South Carolina is. I've also, like Abe does, I've got the Dogs minus 23.5 points. That's a big number, but Kentucky sucks. I've got Memphis beating Florida State outright. They are 5.5 point underdogs, but I believe they will beat Florida State either way. I've got UCF as 1.5 point underdogs beating TCU outright, and I've got the Colts minus 3 over the Packers. So 3 of us are betting on this Colts-Packers game and also the Georgia game, which we'll find out here from Lori.
Okay. So my first one was this game we're watching right now, Texas State winning at home as a 1.5 point underdog on a Thursday night. All I heard about all week was that these were two big party schools and that they canceled classes for tomorrow, which is the correct thing to do after a football game on a Thursday. And it's still tied. And I just hope they win because I think that would be cool because I had never heard of, the guy's name is Hershey. The problem is Arizona State has way better players' last names. So I just never heard of Texas State before.
Some talent in the student section.
Of course. And then I really didn't like this week. I picked UVA to win again because that's what I hope happens because that'd be cute. And then I'm picking, so this App State -2.5 at East Carolina. I think App State will win by more than 2.5.
That is what you said.
So that's what I said. Okay. So then I'm also picking Miami of Ohio as underdogs to win at home against Cincinnati because I might as well pick close underdogs to win. And then I was out of options and I really didn't like anything else. So I just said that I hope Georgia wins. And I don't care about the amount of points they win by.
Lori's just taking the dogs to win as the favorite, taking that surefire 2 points.
Maybe. You never know.
You never know, but that feels like it's going to be just fine. Lori's got a maximum score here of 37. Try not to score any more points on your way through the parking lot. I have a maximum score of 35 again. I seem to stick with 35 as my ceiling. It's what I've done all 3 weeks, I think. But we'll see. The game should be fun, even though it's not a great weekend.
It'll be fun, and if they're
football.
boring, I'll get schoolwork done. So that's nice.
Yeah. All right. Now that's the CIB Pick'em contest. Of course, we now have President Jimmy Carter's Lock of the Week live from Plains. We go now to the former president down there in Georgia.
Hello again to my dear friends at Cast Iron Balls. I understand Abe is away this week. Abe, you are missed by someone, I'm sure. I'd like to acknowledge the obvious, that my sudden embrace of sports gambling here somewhere in the back end of my life is a bit of a surprise, given my strongly held Christian beliefs. I'll just say that I left the Southern Baptist a long time ago. I recognize that gambling is a sin in itself, and can compel many other sins. That it can lead to the violation of many other important principles that I hold dear. Like this life, the baseball season is very, very long. Do you know how much more interesting a Braves game in the middle of August is when you have a little action on it? I'm not perfect, but I am, by the grace of God, saved. Then I'm going to heaven, and gambling on sports is fun as hell. The Catholics, on the other hand, believe that you can preserve and even increase grace through good works. But I ask, if my cup already runs over with the grace of God, if my eternal soul is already promised His perfect presence, what sense does it make to seek more? Even my seemingly interminable 100 years is but the blink of an eye, so I'll enjoy the pleasures of this fallen world while it lasts. Speaking of the Catholics, Notre Dame suffered a tough loss last week to Northern Illinois, and this week will travel south of South Bend to Purdue, who are coming off a bye week. Purdue has got a talented if unproven quarterback in Hudson Card in his second year after transferring from Texas. Card went 24-25 passing for 4 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, which should raise concerns for the Irish secondary, which has not lived up to its preseason promise. Notre Dame and those pumping hype and sunshine around their program might be guilty of eating their peanuts before they're shelled. All signs point to the Spoilermakers living up to that nickname and handing Notre Dame their second loss in as many weeks. But I just don't see it. I believe in these Catholic boys. Their less than stellar works on the field last week be damned. Even our most righteous deeds are but filthy rags, as Isaiah says, after all. Give me the Irish, let it 9.5 points, and let's get right with God and right with the books. As always, enjoy the games with good food and drink, and most importantly, good company. May God bless this great nation, and this great podcast. Until next week, this is Jimmy from Plains for Cast Iron Balls.
All right, Jimmy is taking Notre Dame and laying 9.5 points. He locked in after Abe did, where Abe is catching 11.5 for Purdue. Does that give us a situation where they could both be wrong? No, it does not give us a situation where they could both be wrong. That's
No.
too bad.
Well, they could both be wrong if Notre Dame. Wait. Yeah.
If Notre Dame wins by
They're both-
fewer than 9.5 points, then Carter is wrong, but Abe is correct.
What if Notre Dame loses?
If Notre Dame loses, then Carter is wrong and Abe is right.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a scenario where they can both be right. If Notre Dame wins by 10, then Jimmy Carter wins and Abe wins.
Okay.
Because
but only if they win by 10.
If they win by 10 or 11 points, then they're both correct because of the line movement there.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It is a prescient weekend for the Dogs to be playing the Cats, I think, considering recent political events.
Yeah, I don't know if that's not prescient, but it is
What is
appropriate.
It's appropriate. Feels good. Feels
Yeah.
right.
All right. Thanks to the former president for sending in his picks. That's it. You've been listening to Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports with usually Bob and Abe, and Lori's here too. Just Bob and Laura tonight. You can check out more from us at our Substack, brainiron.substack.com. You can also head over to tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com for more from Mark Gillig, who composed our opening and closing themes. Abe obviously doesn't have any sports content that he's engaged with over the last couple of days because he's traveling. Lori, do you have anything you would like to mention?
I didn't want to listen to an interview with Kalen DeBoer, and I didn't want to listen to an interview with Ryan Day. So I was sort of filled up of my typical sports podcasts. So I listened to Josh Pate more than I usually do because he wasn't interviewing those people. And I stopped watching my documentary this morning at the point where I'm pretty sure they're going to talk about Georgia losing the 2019 national championship. So that's what I have to deal with tomorrow morning.
Do you find that more or less painful than the failure against Alabama in 2012?
So much more painful.
I don't know. I don't know which is more painful.
So much more painful.
Because if we beat Alabama there in 2012, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that we go on to beat Notre Dame.
If we beat Alabama in 2018, we win the national championship. Period. Also, it was second and 27 or 26 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but
it was so much worse.
In hindsight, with hindsight in retrospect, Kirby goes on to win 2 national titles in a fairly short order after that.
Aaron Murray goes on to make a podcast I enjoy.
And I think that 2012 team and Mark Richt deserved an opportunity to play for a national title, and we're just a couple of yards shy.
Okay, here's
I
I think why.
It's just such a fucking bummer that it will always be the case that Mark Richt didn't get a national title at Georgia, and I think he deserved one.
But the reason Mark Richt didn't get a national title at Georgia is because he chose not to spike the ball there. We went into that leading by 10 points? How many? There were lots of points. We went into the second half leading by a lot of points.
I mean, not a lot of
Georgia
points. It was just a
lost.
defensive struggle type of game.
No, what was it? Oh, look it up right now. Do I need to do it, or are you you're sitting there? What was the box score in that game? We were so ahead, and then Alabama came back and won it.
No, it was. Yeah, we were ahead. It felt like we were going to win, but it wasn't. It wasn't a fucking blowout at halftime. It was 10-7 Alabama at the half. We scored 14 points, and they scored 8 in the third quarter to make it 21-18.
Okay. The reason I think it's more heartbreaking with the second and 20 whatever is, because of the Tua thing, because of the fucking Saban doing his halftime adjustment freshman quarterback, and because it was a better football game. It's not because we failed to do a thing. Like, where in 2012, if Mark Richt or Aaron Murray had spiked the ball, or
Mark Richt is not making the decision about whether or not to spike the ball.
I think
Mike
he
Bobo is in 2012.
Okay, but whoever.
And
you know what I'm saying? Like, that was a failure to execute.
It's not a failure to execute. They both said after the game that the plan, they felt that their best chance was to just go down there, call a play, and not let the defense reset.
Yeah.
Because they did not want to give Nick Saban the opportunity to get everybody exactly where he wants his little puppets to be.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't want to give Saban the opportunity to set the chessboard for one more play. He thought, and I think reasonably so, that you get down there, you line up, you call a play, and you try to get it in the end zone. Like it's to
I
me.
get it.
I mean, believe me, I drunkenly walked through the streets at fucking 2 a.m. shouting, "Spike the ball, Murray!" That night with my buds. Possibly the next night.
It wasn't. We watched that game at our house.
I know, but then I went out with. I think I was out with Naveed.
Was I home with the baby?
And I assume so. Yeah.
Okay.
But then we went out, and I was shouting into the Athens night with my friends, "Spike the ball, Murray!" Like felt like the right reaction at the time.
Yeah.
I further understand the position of the offense there, which is do not let Nick Saban try to get all of his ducks in a row.
I find it more heartbreaking to lose a football game because of football happened, like because they made a play rather than we didn't make the play. It's just a two sides of the same coin thing.
I don't see how you can be more upset about them making a spectacular play on a defensive breakdown than your own guys simply failing to execute and get in the end zone.
Because we knew it was going to happen. As soon as they missed the field goal and it went into overtime, I was like, now we're losing. Like, now we're really going to lose. I think I said that out loud. Now we're really going to lose. As soon as it went to overtime.
When they missed the field goal.
To
give us an opportunity to win the game.
Yes.
That you thought that maybe if they'd made that field goal, our chances would have been better.
God damn it! Get that guy.
This is a classic difference of the sexes or something here.
It's just different people.
Way of understanding reality.
Yeah.
Anyway, it comes down to, for me, the fact that in 2008, the Dogs probably could have, should have been playing in a national title game, but didn't because of the vagaries of where the losses happened on the schedule.
On the computer.
Might have been the best team that year, and then in 2012 also to not be able to go play, even though we were just as good, if not better than Alabama that year. But anyway, I don't think I have anything to mention in terms of sports-related consumption over the last little while. Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
It's time for Who Gives a Short News.
Who gives a short... No, you said it. That's it. Keep going. Who gives a short news?
It's time for Who Gives a Shit
No!
News. Just let me do it, or I'll have to do it in the morning. Here we are, Abe Cast Iron Balls, a podcast.
A podcast. A podcast.
Coaching up that a conch kid at practice today.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.